What makes someone a teacher? Is it standing in front of a classroom? Is it knowing your subject? Or is something that's developed through the experiences we have with learners? For me, becoming a teacher has not been a straight journey. It has been shaped by the teachers who believe in me, the classroom that challenged me, and the moment that made me question the kind of teacher I want to become. In this presentation, I invite you to walk through that journey with me, from the experiences that shaped my belief to the challenges that tested them, and finally the teacher I am still becoming. This is not simply a story about teaching practice. It's a story of how I am discovering my teacher's identity. I am becoming a teacher who believes that every learner can succeed. For me, this means looking beyond the marks. A learner may struggle with the task today, but that does not mean they cannot improve. I want to give learners support, encouragement, and different opportunities to show what they can do. I also believe that learning should be meaningful and enjoyable. By meaningful, I mean connecting lessons to the things that learners already know, their experiences in the world around them. And enjoyable, I mean creating opportunities for learners to participate, discuss, explore, and even have fun while learning. I want my learners to ask questions and become curious. I don't want the classroom to be a place where I am the only one person speaking to my learners. I want learners to feel comfortable asking why, sharing their ideas, and exploring different answers from each other. I also want to create an inclusive classroom. To me, inclusion means making sure learners feel seen, respected, and able to participate regardless of their confidence level. Finally, I believe I need to adapt if my learners are not understanding something. I cannot simply keep teaching in the same way. I need to notice what is happening and be willing to explain differently. So these are the beliefs shaping the teacher I am becoming. Believe in learners, creating meaningful and enjoyable learning, and adapt to help learners grow. One experience that strongly shaped the teacher I am becoming happened in grade 12 at Gelegedle Secondary School in Hlobane, Vryheid. During my English class with Ms. Gnene, we were studying My Children, My Africa, and although I was relatively a quiet learner, Ms. Gnene noticed that I understood the work and encouraged me to participate. I remember achieving 78% in English. When my mother came to collect my report card, Ms. Gnene told her that she believed I was capable of much more. She explained that I had achieved that mark without really pushing myself. Her words challenged me. I started participating more and asking questions and became more intentional about my studies. My overall average later improved to about 85%. That experience taught me that a teacher should not only see what a learner is achieving, but also recognize what the learner is capable of becoming. That is the belief I want to carry in my own classroom. One moment when I truly felt like a teacher happened during my teaching practice this year. On Friday, my mentor asked me to take care of grade 10B because she was going to arrive late. I had never taught this class before, so I was nervous. The learners were working on speech writing and presentation, and I wanted to show them that a speech does not have to always start in a boring way. I wanted them to think of how they could grab their audience attention. For example, their topic was South Africa is truly a beautiful country. Instead of starting directly with the topic, I showed them how they could begin with a surprising fact. For example, I told them that, did you know that South Africa has 11 official languages and 3 capital cities? Then I introduced myself and said, good morning, my name is Mangaliso Mbatha and I'm standing in front of you. I'll be presenting a speech on why South Africa is truly an amazing country. The learner could immediately see the difference. The fact created curiosity because the actual topic was introduced. From there, I explained the structure of the speech and guided them through the lesson. The learner stayed focused, participated, and asked questions. When my mentor arrived, she was surprised by how engaging the class was. She decided not to interrupt and allow me to continue teaching. That moment made me realize something important. I was not simply delivering content, I was thinking like a teacher. I was thinking on how to make learning interesting, how to capture attention, and how to get learners involved. That was the moment I thought, I am not dreaming, I am becoming a teacher. One experience that really challenged my teacher's identity during teaching practice was learning how to balance being approachable with maintaining clear boundaries. When I started teaching, I wanted my learners to feel comfortable around me. I wanted them to know they could ask me questions, speak to me when they are struggling, and see me as a teacher who was supportive rather than intimidating. However, I realized that my relaxed approach sometimes became too informal. Some learners became noisy during lessons, and there were also situations where learners tried to use their cell phone even though phones were not allowed. At first, I found this difficult because I did not want to become a strict to damage the positive relationship I was trying to build with my learners. But I also realized that if I allowed the behavior to continue, I was also affecting the learning environment. I therefore addressed the behavior and spoke to my mentor about the situation. Seeking my mentor guidance helped me realize that I did not have to choose between being approachable and being firm. What I learned is that being a supportive teacher does not mean having no boundaries. Learners can feel respected and comfortable while still understanding what is expected of them. In my future teaching, I want to establish those expectations from the beginning. I want my learners to know that they can approach me, but they must also respect the classroom, participate in learning, and understand that there are boundaries. This experience taught me that the teacher I am becoming needs both relationship and boundaries. The teaching approach that best connects with my teacher's identity is inquiry-based learning. I want learners to question, explore, actively develop their own understanding rather than simply receiving information from me. This approach best connects with John Dewey's views on learning develops through experience and actively inquiry, while Vygotsky's theory emphasizes learning through social interaction and teaching guidance. I experienced this during my teaching practice when I taught my grade 10C learners history on the following topic: the arrival of the Dutch East Indian Company. I introduced the topic by asking learners to imagine traveling back in time and think about how South Africa and Europe might have looked like during that time. I then placed learners into different groups representing different perspectives, including the Skan, the Khoikhoi, and the Dutch. They discussed how each group might have experienced the arrival of the Dutch and why they might have responded differently. I guided discussions by asking questions rather than giving learners all the answers. We then compared their ideas with the textbook and historical evidence. This experience showed me that I can guide learning without doing all the thinking for learners. In South African classroom, I would continue to use local experience, different perspective, opportunities for learning, and also I would try to integrate games to make the lesson more engaging and fun. This is the teacher I am becoming, one who guides learners to think, explore, and construct understanding rather than giving them all the answers. One honest difference I noticed between my belief and my actual practice was during my teaching practice was how I taught during our shorter Friday periods. I believe learners should actively participate, explore ideas, and discuss while I guide their learning. However, because some Friday periods were only 30 minutes, I sometimes found myself doing more explaining and directing than I wanted to. I reduced some learners' activities because I was worried about covering the important historical content before the lesson ended. The difference came from trying to balance learners' participation, the limited time, and the amount of content I needed to cover. This experience taught me that having learner-centered belief is not enough. I also need to plan realistically so that those beliefs can actually happen in the classroom. In my future, I will prioritize the most important content, use shorter activities, and manage my time carefully so that learners can remain active even when the time is limited. It taught me that my belief must be practical enough to survive the reality of the classroom. Looking back at my teaching practice, I recognize that one of my strengths is creating engaging learning experiences. I enjoy asking questions, using different activities, and finding ways to get learners involved rather than simply listening to me. However, I still need to grow in time management and consistency. My experience with the shorter Friday periods showed me that having learner-centered belief is not enough. I need to learn how to turn those beliefs into lessons that work within the reality of the classroom. In my next teaching practice, I will plan short, focused learner-centered activities that fit the available time, while continuing to develop my classroom management and maintain clear expectations. Most importantly, I want my future learners to feel curious, confident, respected, and involved. I want them to feel safe to ask questions and share ideas and make mistakes as part of learning. And after everything I have experienced, reflected on, and learned, I can now complete the statement differently. I am becoming a teacher who creates a classroom where learners feel confident to ask questions, explore ideas, and develop their own understanding. That's the teacher I am still becoming and wish to be in my future classroom. I also wish to include games, include more technology as the world is changing. When I first began this journey, I thought becoming a teacher was mainly about learning how to teach. But my experiences have taught me that it is also about learning who I am as a teacher. I have learned that I want my classroom to be meaningful, engaging, and inclusive. I have learned that I can be approachable while still maintaining boundaries. I have learned that I can guide learners without taking away their opportunity to think. And I have also learned that my belief must be supported by realistic planning and continuous reflection. I am still learning, I am still growing, and I know I will continue to make mistakes, reflect, and improve. But perhaps that's what becoming a teacher really means. Not becoming perfect, but becoming better with every experience. I am becoming a teacher who creates a classroom where learners feel confident to ask questions, explore ideas, and develop their own understanding. Thank you for listening and for taking this journey with me.